Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Andy Elliott. I'm a realtor here in Williamson County, Tennessee, and I am with my best bud and Rodney Wilds, who's also loan officer in Williamson County, and we are with our best lady friend from California. Hi, Ange. How you doing, Rod?
I'm good. I'm good. How's it going, Ange?
You doing good? I wish we could get you. We should bring you on the the broadcast one day. That's what we should do. I would like that. I bet she's doing good out there. It's morning for her. Yep, good morning. I love that. I love that. So, it's a big day. There's some important stuff going on today. Not that we get into politics. Well, kind of, we do. But I mean, I am, I'm really interested in this New York thing. You?
Uh, no,
Really?
I don't. I'm not a big New York guy. I'm a under the Mason Dixon guy. I'm from the South.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't think that, okay, all right, well, I'll leave that be. I just, with
They
the
don't.
stuff
They
that,
can do whatever they want to up there. It ain't gonna affect me none.
no, that's true. That's true. I just find it interesting, that to see. I've got a ton of opinions on that, but for another day. So today's theme is, we've been preaching this for, um, golly, 2 years. It's about the winter season, buyers and sellers, and how that some people, a lot of times, what will happen is that realtors will just mail it in for November and December. They'll just think that nobody's coming and it's cold out and nobody buys and all that kind of stuff. It couldn't be more incorrect in my humble opinion. I think it depends on how you do your marketing and such, of course, um, but like I've said before, and I won't tell the whole story, but I have evidence, I have testimony here that what this article, and this is what pleased me so much about this thing, was this article kind of proved what we've been saying for a couple of years. So I am going to jump right into this. Let's make sure we got the right one. Got it. Okay. Bing. Yes, here we go. The theme is it better to buy in the winter than in the summer? That's what it's all about, or any other time of the season, time of the year. That's what I was trying to say. Americans often buy homes in the summer, but buying in the winter could save thousands. How to time your purchase. And I'm going to preface this by saying, and I say this every week, sort of as a consistent update. In my email, I get notifications when there's price cuts on properties, and I am getting 7 to 10 of those every day. And they're from the $400,000 range to the $2 million range. It's just, they are price cuts going on every day. Every day. That's telling you, it's sending a signal. So here we go. Could save thousands if you choose to buy in the winter. And we're not trying to get you to do anything. We're just having a conversation about what's the real estate reality check. So if you're thinking about buying a new home, there's a decent chance you're planning to make a purchase in the summer. That's usually what people do. After all, summer is the most popular time to buy a home in the U.S. In fact, Lending Tree found that Americans buy 1.4 times more homes in the summer than they do in the winter. From 2015 to 24, 29 point, what they call it, 30% of all residential property sales took place during the summer months, with spring being 25%, a little bit surprising, fall's 25%, yeah, and winter 20%, rounding out the top 4 seasons. Buying in the summer makes sense since it's a little more pleasant to go out and look at properties when you're in the winter states. Um, when you're not battling snow and ice. A summer purchase also means you don't have to uproot your kids in the middle of the school year if you're a parent. And I would say 99% of the time, if people are resistant to do it, it's so kids don't have to mess with the change usually. So unfortunately, summer home buyers pay a premium for that convenience, and it's true. The homes tending to sell at higher prices from the months from June to August. It's true. If buyers can wait until winter, they have the potential to save thousands on their purchase. Strategic timing could mean big savings. According to Lending Tree, you can tell who's this financed by this particular article. The median price per square foot is the highest in May at $194. April, June, and July also have median prices per square foot of above 190. Now remember, that's for the entire country. So I'm sure in California that's not the case. I know Williamson County that's not the case, but in the general it is. By contrast, January has the lowest median price per square foot at $1.68, which is a huge difference. Let's say, for example, that you're planning to buy a 2,000 square foot house. Purchasing that house in May would cost you $388,000, while buying in January could cost $357,000. Not a huge savings, but it's significant, I suppose. This means you could save $31,000 by purchasing the house in January. Oh, I did my math wrong. Sorry. Now, you don't have to buy in January to enjoy a bargain. February is the second cheapest month with a median price per square foot of $183. Prices start to increase in March, hitting a median price of $190 per square foot in April and staying above the $190 mark until August. However, buying during the winter months could mean that your children have to change schools in the middle of the school year. You'll also have fewer homes to choose from, since most sellers don't list their houses during the winter months. The Ohio Department of Commerce warns that issues with a listed house could be hidden. Now, I thought this was a little bit of a weak comment, just me. However, having come from Ohio in the dead of winter, it's like freezes your nose hairs. I mean, it's serious winter up there, especially like close to Lake Erie. Jeez Louise. But the Ohio Department of Commerce warns that issues with a listed house could be hidden if snow and ice make some areas inaccessible to inspectors. For example, problems with roofs, the roof go unnoticed and may be expensive to fix. I thought that was that's a bit of a stretch, you know.
We just have such mild winters, though. You know, it's not like you go up north and it's snow covered from October and November all the way to March, so you wouldn't see what a roof looks like, or you wouldn't see, you know what I'm saying? I guess you'd go in there and be like, if it's not leaking, it's good. So what color is it?
The biggest problem you have in places like Ohio, and the other place that I lived, all right, well, I got you, Angie. In Colorado, the biggest problem we would have with winter is a thing called ice dams. Have you ever heard of that? Ice dams?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's where they clog up the works, and when things start to melt, you get leaks in the house because it's blocking the flow of the water getting out of there. So, yeah, pretty nice out there, and we're all a little jealous. So I'll stream to the finish on this one. So how buyers and sellers can leverage the seasons. I wonder if this is the case. I wonder if psychologically I haven't thought about that. In California, I have to look up the statistics. Do buyers and sellers slow down because of the holidays in California? I have to look that up. I suppose they do. How buyers and sellers can leverage the seasons. The U.S. housing market hasn't been great lately, with sales in a slump since 2022, when mortgage rates started surging from historic lows. In fact, sales of existing homes in 2024 fell to a near 30-year low. A 30-year low. 30-year low. Good news, my son finally got his new job. All right, way to go, buddy. However, things are starting to turn around as mortgage rates have come down. Home sales began to accelerate in the fall, with existing home sales rising a 1.5 from August to September. This is the fastest pace of sales since February. That's good news. And the total sales from September reflect an impressive 4.1% increase over year. That's good. So to finish up, if the housing market continues to heat up during falling mortgage rates, which we're going to talk about after Rodney's riff, it may become important for home buyers to be strategic with their timing. I'm going to include this. When prices are climbing, potential buyers may be willing to accept the lower inventory and other inconveniences of moving in the winter in order to get a better deal. I've seen that. Sellers should also know that because fewer people tend to buy in the winter, this may not be the right time to list if they want to maximize their profits. There's a lot of truth to that. An experienced real estate agent can provide insight to impact of selling in the winter. Here's what I would say about that last comment specifically. And we've talked about it before, so I won't drone on and on about it. Oh, days on market went down from 23 in August to 15 in September. Good Lord, things picked up there. Around here, the way that it works in the winter is that when it gets colder, it's I think it's as much the holiday season as anything. It's just because we don't get a lot of snow and there ain't a lot of rain, and it's just cold, gets kind of gray. But what will happen is as listings kind of fall off the market, the people that are listed and actively for sale, these people are serious about buying. They will negotiate. The people that are coming to look at houses, and they can be a lot of times, I was one of these. People are coming in from out of state to look at Middle Tennessee. They'll come in. The people that are coming in and looking at houses, actively looking at houses during the week or weekends to go see these list inventory, they are serious. And so the hit rate goes way up. The looky-loos have gone home for the summer. So if you're looking for action, meaning the highest number of sales per showings, if you're a listing or selling agent, this is the time. What do you think about that article in general, Rodney?
I liked it. It's I will say this: it's kind of surprising that it goes 29% of the year's business in the summer months, and then 25%, and then 20% in the winter months. It's if you say, okay, your business is going to 20% of your business is the last quarter, you're not going to think you're taking that quarter off. Like, I think it's, seeing this stat needs for me to, I'm going to need to go to my LOs and say, hey, keep the nose to the grindstone here. There's a lot of business out there. It's 20% of the market. This 20% of the year is going to be had, in October, November, and December. That's a lot of business.
That's a lot of business. And I tell you, here's something else that's kind of, I'm the guy that's in the field, and Rodney is the guy that takes over once we are headed towards a contract, generally speaking. So he's dealing with all of the people that are actively buying houses. We're the guys out there trying to figure out who's serious about this. And the way that you tell is, that's not a shot, that's just the way the industry works. A few years ago when things were so hot, you would sell a house probably within 3 to 5 showings. That's how hot it was. I mean, the main criteria back in 20 to 22 for a house to be able to sell was, is it available? Prices almost didn't matter. Whereas before that, the average was 8 to 12. I would have 8 to 12 showings before somebody would, it's always the same question. I like this. What do we do to get this? It's a pretty calm question, generally speaking. What do we do next? It's like, I'll call you. But 8 to 12 is what it is. Now, and so it went from 8 to 12 to 3 to 5 about between 2022. Now, recently, there's people that are showing 10 to 20 to get a house if they have a contract at all. And that's how you tell, that's what I call the hit rate. What's going on with that. So when the market is tough like it is now, a lot of showings, a lot of days on market, the winter time is a boon, just like you said, Rodney. That's absolutely true. How early should I start looking for buyer's agent in Chattanooga if I'm selling in the spring? I'm gonna answer this, okay, Rodney?
Please.
Okay. I just didn't want to interrupt the flow. So here's what I would say. What are the rules? Okay. What I would do is I would start calling people, like, if you're going to be selling in the spring. Now, okay. I'm trying to make sure that this is correct. And when it comes time for that, be sure to get a hold of me because I've got connections specifically in Chattanooga because it turns out my broker's daughter lives there. So that would be a good connect. But if that didn't work out, what you want to do is you want to, for anybody else, if you're looking to buy someplace, give me a call. I can plug you in. I've got a network across the country. But give a call to somebody, have a conversation with them, and then ask them to set up a search for you and see how that goes and see what kind of stuff they're sending. What you want to figure out is, does somebody respond to you? That's what you're looking for, is somebody actively working with you to help find a house. Because when you get started, the rules have changed. For anybody that doesn't know this, when you start looking at houses, you have to sign a buyer's representation agreement or a touring agreement. And if you don't know somebody, I would strongly suggest a touring agreement because it's very non-committal and it expires usually in 3 days or a week, whatever you want. But anyway, start investigating those people as soon as possible. 3 or 4 of them, probably no more than 4, I would think. And you'll know who you connect with pretty quick. You'll know pretty quick. So don't be afraid to go, moving on to the next one. That's be bold with that. What do you think, Rodney? How do you shape that?
Yeah, that's exactly. I'd, call and talk to a few people and see who, like you said, see who you connect with, see who you like.
And tell them your story. Here's another tip, and I'll leave it on. We're going to move on to Rodney's riff. If you've got any kind of special circumstances in your situation where you need to sell a home or whatever it is, sometimes home sales are straightforward and sometimes they can be a little more dicey. Explain your circumstance clearly to the agent you're talking to and see if there's any resistance. You want to find that out early. If you present somebody with sort of a tricky thing and they go, hey, no problem, that's probably your person. If somebody goes, oh, I don't know, you give that some second thought. Call me, we'll talk. Sorry, Rodney.
No, you're good.
So anyway, if you're thinking about buying and you're wondering if this is a good time, which is really the whole question of the article, it is a good time, conditioned upon, are you ready? Are you really ready as a buyer? That's the only, if there's a conditional thing, that would be it, that would be it. So what's next? My favorite thing, shouldn't be any issues, got it. This is my favorite thing. It's time for Rodney's Riff.
All right, here we go. Today's riff. Let's see, what is the title of this one? The title is Buyer Agent Fee. Are sellers really paying buyer agent fee? We've been shopping around for realtors, and every single one of them said not to worry about their fee since the sellers have historically paid for it, but will make us sign a contract if they didn't, but also told us not to worry since that never happens. All right. So let's dive into this. To me, I got a few questions out of this. One, the first question is, are the sellers really paying for buyer fees? Kind of the second statement we got out of there is that they've been shopping and all of them saying the same thing, not to worry about the fees since the sellers have historically paid for it. And then the third thing I'm concerned about is they make us sign a contract but tell us not to worry since that never happens. All right. The first things first. Are sellers really paying buyer agent fee? Yes. Sellers are acting very similar to the way they were before this changed. I guess it was in the spring. I forget even when it happened.
Year ago.
Yeah. So since then, transactions been going down seamlessly, much to the same as they have been previously, meaning that the sellers are still funding the buyer's agent fee. Now, the two things that we talked about is, or I brought up about their question is, one is saying, okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That, sellers have typically paid for this in the past. Um, the only thing, one is, there seems like they're getting the similar message that is accurate. Yeah, the sellers are generally paying for this. It sounds like they're leaving the buyers open a little bit by not explaining exactly what the deal is. Like, uh, it. And I say this, okay? They could have explained this. You could have had five top agents, buyer agents in the world, with scripted messages that they told the buyer, and then the buyer heard what they wanted to hear. Okay, like, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay, blah blah blah. So I'm not putting this on the agents. I understand that sometimes when buyers, they attend things, sometimes they don't bring their mind with them, or have it. So I'm not saying realtors didn't do a good job explaining it, but the buyer is not doing a good job of explaining what they were told. So I don't know how it was actually told, but the thing I don't like about it is that they should have had a better knowledge of why they're signing something. Like, if they would have said in here, with today's rules, as you can't look at properties without signing a contract, and so that way that it would have been like, somebody could have said, hey, this is why we need you to sign this contract, is so you can actually have representation. You understand where this, our fee is coming from if the seller does not pay it. Now, okay, so I would never go, personally, I wouldn't conduct business when somebody says, oh, you sign it, but don't worry about it. That's just not how I do business. If I'm signing it, means I'm responsible for it. And, I think if they're going to be responsible for it, they need to know that as well. But the whole thing is, it's much ado about nothing, because typically the sellers cover the buyer's agent fees just like they have in the past. It's a negotiated item. And now, if you go in there and put, well, my buyer fees 6% because I got the best buyer agent in the world, you might not get that paid. Like, the seller may reject that. But as far as the question goes, yes, sellers really are paying the buyer's agent fee in abundance. There's a lot of things to do when they do not want to pay. So let's jump in the comments and see what they've had added to this scenario here. Licensed says, yes, more than often our realtor said it's to negotiate with a seller for the highest amount possible, and she will accept whatever they agree to. So anything from 2% on. There were a few homes where the seller didn't want to pay commission. She let us know ahead of time. Unfortunately, the buyer still pays everyone commissions in one way or another, direct or indirect, as it is all in the purchase price. I somewhat agree with that. It typically is built into the purchase price. I'll move on from there. I don't need that. Top 1%, Nikki something here. I have not had a single buyer have to pay me a dime out of pocket toward the buyer agent commission since the changes after the NAR lawsuit settlement. That said, I also negotiated a reasonable commission rate from the very beginning. If your agent's demanding more than the market will bear, you will have to pay some of their fee. I like that. Basically, I very like the first sentence, and you can stop. I have not had a single buyer have to pay me a dime out of pocket toward buyer agent commission since the changes from NAR lawsuit settlement. Period. End of story. She didn't say she's lost buyers. It all gets worked out in the deal. I think that's 99% of the of transactions right now. Most sellers do pay the buyer's agent fee, but not all, and it's not a guarantee. So you will be on the hook for paying a portion of it. I only offer my buyer's agents 2.5%. All right, well, 2.5% pretty much the going rate where I am these days. So you will be on the you're signing when you're signing that, you are on the hook, but when you write your contract, you also know that, which in my opinion, if you didn't want to pay it, you wouldn't write the contract. So here's a suggestion. Only look at homes where the seller is paying your realtor. I'm currently selling, closing next week, and had no problem covering all buyers 3%. Good luck. My realtor told me the next one down, CRB something. My realtor told me I didn't have to pay the buyer's fee, but I didn't. But if I didn't, most realtors would shy away from our property. Anyone who didn't think it would work out this way is naive. I agree. If you put on there you're not paying a realtor fee, you know you're going to have people not look at your house, especially right now. It'd be a very you know, if you don't want to pay an agent fee, just put in there it's negotiable. I mean, if you're selling your house, just put everything's negotiable, because if they come in with a really good price, you're liable to pay that fee. So, red here says, what a lie. You don't have to pay the buyer agent fee. As a seller, the best approach is to not raise your hand and offer a buyer agent fee up front as your agent told you to do so. But let buyers and their agents know just to include any commissions in their offer. Could be 0%, could be 10%. What matters to you is, all the other things being equal, the best net dollar offer. All right. See, I like the net offer. You always look at the net offers, but what a lie. You don't have to pay the buyer agent fee. You don't as a seller. And if you don't put in there, you'll have less people looking for it. That's all I'm going to tell you. Yeah, right. I guess you're a realtor trying to make believe everything is on the table. I paid and I sold. I don't even know what that means. I don't get what they're saying there. Make believe everything is negotiable now. I mean, I will say that what it done, it made the buyer's agent fee. You know, the buyers have to know who's paying for it, and it's negotiable. I think that was I think that come out. I don't think that I think agents are doing a good job getting the fees that they deserve. And I think, Andy, last time we talked about the last study, the agent fees have went up since the NAR. So
they did
just a hair, not nothing significant, but it's just went up a hair over. You know, now they're doing a better job negotiating their fees. So good for them. Flamingo 33316. Of course, you should worry about it. The seller has no obligation to pay it, and even if they do, you're paying for it in the price. Don't agree to pay more in the buyer agent agreement than you're willing to write the check. Everything's in the price when you're buying a house. I mean, it's kind of silly to even say that, to look at it that way or say that. But I do like, of course, you worry about it, and if you're signing up for it, saying you're willing to pay it. So, as a buyer, you could dictate the terms of all your offers and all commissions being paid by a seller if you elect to do so. You should also be educated that such a term could potentially preclude your offer from being selected. The choice is yours. That's New Jersey Realtor Dave. You know, obviously, if your offer has a lot of contingencies and this, that, and the other, it's going to be looked at, and it may not get the deal. And here's another, and I'll stop on this one. I've yet to have a seller not pay me as a buyer's agent. There you go. So that's the Riff. I'll want you to jump in. Obviously, you're the agent of us two, but from what I can see, it's this NAR settlement was for the better. Agent commissions haven't gone down, and buyers have a better although this buyer didn't, they should have a better understanding of what the process is after they go through a contract signing with an agent. So that's today's riff.
Okay, and you're asking me to chime in, right?
Yes, I am. That's it
Okay.
for me. So what are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for letting me do this. This is a little out of the ordinary for us, and I thank you for letting me chime in on your part. The question was, are sellers really paying buyer agent fee? And the answer is absolutely. And Rodney has it exactly right down the line. What's really changed these days since the NAR settlement in terms of disclosures is that there's some comments that I read has told us not to worry about it since that never happens. That is not correct. I mean, that's this close to saying buyer agents are free to you. I mean, it's that close to that. That is bad information. And if you're looking for a house and you're getting a buyer's agent, get ready for the conversation that says, I'm going to add that line item for me to get paid on your behalf by the seller, but it is a negotiable item. That's what's changed, is there's a full conversation of, is there a chance that the buyer would get stuck with the tab for the buyer agent? Yes, there's a chance. And it just depends on how the contract is negotiated. And they're saying in here, for a lot of people, that mostly hasn't happened to them. Excellent, that's great, because it's what Rodney said. If somebody wants to sell their house, typically that is part and parcel to getting somebody to come look at it. That's marketing 101. So that's all. I won't complicate it. It's full disclosure. It's transparent. It really is. And if it seems scary, it's just because it hasn't been explained to you well enough. But that's basically it. So we'll end up on that, I think. Does that cover? You think that covers it okay, Rodney? Or?
Think it does. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for letting me chime in on that. I appreciate that very much. And it's pretty common, and Ange has her comments. I just love the way she chimes in. It's pretty common here for buyer agents to get less than seller agents. Same in Tennessee. I wouldn't be able to say definitively, but in my experience, they're pretty similar. I think that's a fair statement, right? However, I will tell you that I think specifically in Chattanooga, or could be, what's the other main city out there, Rodney, outside of Chattanooga?
Cookeville, Crossville.
Further out. It's just right north of or south of, I can't even think of it. I don't know Tennessee all that well in the east, but I think it's Chattanooga. There is a difference. I mean, I can't use percentages because I won't, but let's just say that one side gets a third and the other side gets 2/3, and I think that's fairly common in Chattanooga. The other, I sound like an idiot because I don't know Tennessee, but Knoxville. Thank you. That's Knoxville. It's one of those two. That's how it is. And we had somebody that was in our internet group in the same company as I, asking about that, and the comment they had was, that's what traditional is here. So that's the only place I've ever heard of. But it's a great question. So that's a good thing to know. All right, here we go. Now, the next. And we've got, I think I gave you 2 links, Rodney, so I'm going to go with the real estate news one first. I think you get those. What was interesting, and Rodney chimed in on this one, I thought was an excellent article, and it was from Mortgage News Daily. And here's what it's basically, it says, yet again, mortgage rates surge higher after the Fed rate cut. Tell me about this. What are you hearing? You're the guy that does all the business. What are you hearing about from people that said, hey, the rate's cut, now what's going on?
Well, it was pretty evident from Powell's comments that he wasn't committing. Okay, let me back up a little bit. He cut in October, and during that meeting, he said, basically, I'm not sure about December. And however, that's what the market took. And if you remember, we talked about that dot plot. You remember the dot plot
Yes.
where it's basically if you took all the Fed people and their percentages of a cut, it put a dot in December where they thought it was going to be another quarter point cut. So as soon as he went hawkish or whatever on the cut in December, the market reacted like, hey, we've already planned this quarter point cut for December. Although he's cutting it currently in October, they had already, by the dot plot or whatever, they had already planned for, had already another 25 basis points in the market. And then when he said he wasn't, or he got a little, I wasn't clear about the cut in December, the mortgage market reacted and just said, hey, we're going to go ahead and remove that 25 basis points we added in when we thought he was going to cut it in December. So it's the standard. He cut it. He might not cut again. And we had like we've always talked about, these guys react so fast. They build in that cut. We talk about it, but it's like soon as he says he's not going to cut, they got to reverse it out, because they built in this cut, 2 months ago. And so he gets whatever the term is, he might not cut. And then here we go again. Our rates go up that day, to recover what was initially built in.
I heard that on the business channel this morning. The guy was like, we already had that built in, and then he makes exactly what you said, no commitment. Now what are we going to do? And
then he's going to cut it in December, and it's going to go down this time. So
plus we're not getting any data for anybody to steer the ship by, So
right.
I just go through some of this. I won't exhaust this whole article like I've got it lined up, but just to make a couple of points. So the mortgage rates are climbing. The Federal Reserve Chair Powell expressed uncertainty about the likelihood of another short-term interest rate in December, just what Rodney was saying. The upward trend sets up a potential repeat of the late year spikes seen in recent years. I thought this was interesting, and the reason I wanted to mention it. The 30-year fixed rate averaged 6.33 on October 30th. Today, in my little world, it's still 6.33. I know Rodney's is different because he's the guy. According to Mortgage News Daily, that's up from 6.27 at the end of the day on October 29, and up from 6.13 level reached prior to the October rate cut. Though the central bank's 25 basis point cut on October 29 was welcome news, Powell appeared hawkish, like Rodney said, with the possibility of another cut in December, meaning, I don't know. Late year jump. Here's what I was trying to get at. The heading into Fed's October meeting, mortgage rates were at the lowest level in over a year. Freddie Mac's weekly survey, which includes data that predates Fed's meeting, pegged the 30-year rate at 6.17. I mean, we were like celebrating. It was down really close to 6 and under 6 for Rodney, I think. If the rate continues to climb, 2020 straight year to experience a late year spike. It makes you wonder why that happens. In 2022, the 30-year rate jumped from 5.13 late August to 7.08 in November. In 23, it rose from 7.19 to September 7.79. That hurt. And in October. And in 24, the jump was 6.08 in late September to 6.84. That hurt. In November. The upticks were mostly attributed, and here's what I kind of want to make a point. attributed to inflation concerns, but these worries appear to be overshadowed by other concerns about the weakening labor market, ongoing economic uncertainty. One last thought. It's really at the bottom. It's the uncertainty that I'm trying to draw the picture in here. It says here that that uncertainty, parenthetical, could present buyers with an opportunity, according to Lisa Sturdivant, chief economist for Bright MLS. It's a big company, for prospective buyers who are financially ready. That's the key. Man, you keep hearing this over and over. Is it good times? It is for those that are ready. Right now could be a sweet spot for lower rates and more inventory. I'm not convinced of that. But the last thought is what I wanted to mention. And it says, let me pull this up. Ultimately, and Rodney and I have talked about this incessantly over the last couple of years, ultimately, we believe sales activity this year will be primarily driven by life happens moments, job changes, marriages, births, and other personal milestones, while affordability challenges and structural inventory shortages continue to weigh on demand. Lower rates help, but they're not a cure-all. What do you think about that part right there, Rodney?
Yeah, I'm right on target with it, honestly. I don't think that until rates get a little bit better, we've seen a nice increase in some loan applications, and I think a lot of it's been refinances, but there's I don't think a lot, government shutdown. It's just another reason for buyers to stay on the fence for a second. This thing.
Yeah. And that brings us to the next article that I wanted to touch on, and it's this uncertainty thing. Let me do it this way. There we go. Bing. There we go. And it's the title of it, and this is the last article, and it goes, even though I've got quite a bit highlighted, it goes pretty quick. Stranded buyers, vulnerable owners, navigating the government shutdown. It's my guess, and I'm gonna hope this doesn't sound harsh to guess, but I think, I don't want to say I bet because that would be crude. I just ask you, Rodney, what do you think the odds are that the shutdown is going to be satisfied or fixed, or it'll stop tomorrow after these elections?
Actually, I've heard. Actually, there's I get my political news from a guy from our golf club. He's the funniest guy. He's hilarious. I love being around him. And his serious commentate, or what I took from it is whatever inside information his point was, he thinks the Dems are going to move forward with opening the government after this the one political guy gets elected in New York. And I'm like, they're like hanging the hat on this for some reason, and I don't understand all that, but that seemed to be his thinking. It wasn't there was no rationale for it, but that's what he thought people were saying. Like, if they get their guy in New York, they're going to concede. But
I have an opinion. I would be afraid to share it. But I think that you're right, and the deeper meaning to that is what I find really disturbing, that I would even think to consider that, But anyway, so the government shutdown. This is what I'm talking about. Let me just get into this for just a second. The longest full government shutdown in history is delaying sales, I suspect, for FHA and VA. Is that still an issue, or is that a non-issue?
Not much of an issue right now for most FHA and VA. It's USDA.
USDA is the problem. Okay. This could lead to catastrophic risk for homeowners and businesses in flood zones. You would think that doesn't apply nationally, but that's not what this is about. With not only what this is about. The full government shutdown now stretching beyond 30 days. The nation itself finds itself in unprecedented territory. The effects extend far beyond Washington. Local economies are beginning to feel the strain, and home buyers across the country are seeing slower activity and shaken market confidence. This is now the longest full government shutdown in history. Critical housing and mortgage programs are operating at limited capacity. I suspect that's probably true, if at all, leaving buyers stranded, sellers waiting, and real estate professionals caught in the middle. Many federal agencies that play essential roles in housing are now working with reduced staff or have suspended vital functions entirely. It's kind of amazing what the traffic controllers are going through, and what is it? ATC? What is it? The guys that let you through safely? Can't even think of that.
For
When I'm live,
the security part.
yeah, I can't even think when I'm
I didn't
doing
know
this.
they were government. I guess they are.
Yeah, they're not getting. You'd think that there's going to be some fights or something, but it's kind of amazing that they're still working. So we've never seen a full government shut go past 30 days, so it's difficult to know the long-term effects, the real-world impact. But last week, okay. Here, and this, I found this interesting. What this article says to me is what we've been preaching, and I know that this is a fact, that what this is doing is causing consternation. That's a funky word. It's just confusion. People don't know what to do, to move forward, step back, whatever. Confusion. And confused mind, I don't care what it is, tends to say no, period. That's just the way it is. And that's what, if you're talking about having a slow market, this isn't helping at all. And the next question I have is, and you tell me what you think, Rodney, please. Let's say that the government opens up. How do you think that the effects will just instantly vanish?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's going. I don't know enough. I don't know enough of what all's being affected. Like, I haven't dove into it and been like, but I think so. I think this is, yeah, I think we'll get back. I think there's some ripple stuff, obviously, but I think for the most part, everybody's going to be, I mean, I think the rest of the country, most the Democrats are shutting it down because they don't like Trump. I mean, it's about the only thing they could have done.
TDC, man. TDS. Yes. Well, here's a couple of things, and then I'm going to throw a real quick curve at Rodney because I love doing that. And this, of course, this article is written by, it's a Realtor magazine, and it's a periodical for a trade magazine for us, for realtors. And it says NAR, National Association of Realtors, last week encouraged all 50 state realtor associations to send letters to their senators and representatives, urging them to reopen the government and outlining the harmful effects the shutdown is having on the real estate industry in their area. What I found that interesting, it's like, I'm going to send you a strongly worded letter. What? I mean, how much impact does that have, And then it said, but this tickled me. I don't even know that it's funny. It says, our rapid call for information drew over 600 responses from members sharing firsthand how the shutdown is stalling deals, draining savings, and halting closings. If that says what I think it says, 600 people out of 1.3 million, it doesn't, there's not a lot of engagement going on there, It's, I found that to be disappointing. However, I was I didn't get the letter either, so I think most people are just hunkering down and hoping we get through it, Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's it's just nonsense, honestly. It's our political system is
little whacked.
I don't know. After Doge has come in and seen all that money going, and I didn't even know until this shutdown about all the SNAP benefits or food stamps. It's like,
It's a lot.
I mean, what did they say, 50 million people on that?
43 million, as I understand. I think that's the
Yeah.
number I remember. I can't remember
You know, people
Knoxville,
getting
but I
$2,000 and
remember that.
$3,000 a month. That's crazy.
That's a bunch.
Yeah.
It is. I tell you, one of the things here, I'm going to digress because you started it. You started it.
Yeah.
When you talk about Doge, I never really thought about how much this country is making a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of.
We should keep our taxes for this month. Since the government shut down, we should not have to pay any taxes.
That's
And
right.
I guarantee you they wouldn't stay shut down for more than a half a second.
There's
if they didn't get the money from all the taxes for 30 days from everybody, that'd be, yeah.
That would be a strongly worded letter right there.
You would never see a government shutdown, yeah.
What did Warren Buffett say? He said if they make it contingent upon them getting paid. If they shut down the government, they don't get paid either. You'd end all shutdowns, I think is what he said, something like that. All right, so I'm going to throw you a curve right here. Here it comes. A little off the top. So there's three articles.
A little off the sides with our podcast. We ain't got much on the top.
Hey, we can dream. we can dream, baby. I couldn't find anything that had a little off the side. They need to be deducted for not working. You betcha. I make the consequences equal to the guys that are making the rules, for crying out loud. Don't get me started. Already started. So there's three articles. Pick one you want. I just wonder what you think. Great stay persists as home turnovers sink to a 30-year low. That means everybody that's got a loan, like me, hunkering down. The second one is sales of new homes lose momentum, giving buyers an opportunity. That's a good one. And the third one is the shutdown's main impact on housing so far. Which of those three would you pick?
Let's talk about the great stay persist.
Okay. So give me without even reading the article, it basically just says that there's a bunch of us hanging out, not selling. How do you see that playing out over the next year or so? What's your opinion on that?
I think you're going to start in 2026. I think that our area, and I'm going to go with my area, I think we're going to start to see some what I consider recreational moving, things that don't have to move. Like, like a few minutes ago, you said our market is I don't want to call them the must moves, but the ones that's job change, life change, they need to move now. Or finances aren't particular a concern for them. They can handle an extra, $200 or $300 a month or whatever until they can get it refinanced for a better rate. But I think along with those, you're going to see as rates decline, if they get in the mid fives, I think you're going to see people come off the fence of these. Because it's not an enormous amount below 3% anymore. You remember we looked at that. It was only, like less than 25% or something. So I think you're going to see some people that's between the 3 and 5, range start to get off the fence, and what I consider recreational move, like a normal market for us. Not a lot, but I think you'll start to see that again.
Yep. I agree with you completely. I tell you what, the message, the reason this is like a timely thing, is the message that I get from and I keep bringing this up because it's kind of remarkable. I'm not used to seeing, I haven't got the price cuts that I see and that I get notified of consistently every day. Is over the years, you really don't get many of those. And if you do, it's because the price was really whacked. It was wrong. And the seller was just saying, can we just try this? this obviously high price just to see if somebody will bite. That's where most price adjustments came from in the past years. But this last recently, it's been off the charts. And what that tells me is for every price cut, those people are serious about getting something done. They're trying to get something done. Now there's a level there's only so far that they'll go. And like I said, there's a high variance. Some of them are cutting $100,000. Saw a couple of those this morning, and then several that are 1.2 and they're lowering it by 10 grand. What's that going to do? Nothing. It's nothing. Yeah. But my whole point is that that tells me that people are itching to move. It's that pent up demand that we've talked about, and as the market continues to dilute, meaning there's going to be more and more houses on the market that are, I'm going to call more normalized rates. It's the 4s and the 5s and the 6s versus the 2.7. That's me. I'm a fossil. That's ancient. That's not happening anymore. But I think that's what's going to happen. The market gets diluted, right? Does that make sense?
I think so. I think it's going to just, come back and as rates come down or as time passes as well. Somebody may be waiting for 4% and it may never get there, right? So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. What a great show, Rodney. Thank you. That was in particular a really good Rodney's Riff. Thank you for that, as always. And it was a real privilege to be able to chime into that. Thanks for that, too. So, Ange, can't thank you enough for being here. You're such a good friend to us. And when you get closer to ready, give us a call. We'll help you in a big way. We'll do everything we can. Rodney, any final thoughts, man?
Have a great week. We got some good weather coming in. This supposed to be some nice weather the next few days. Enjoy it.
Free utilities. Turn the heater off. See you, Ange. Rodney, thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.